what measures can be taken by the government, individuals, and organizations to address the rise in food prices in the country. And this program is streaming live on capitalfm.gov.ng. For now, join me, welcome my guest, Dr. Mohammed Jibril, a university lecturer in the Department of Accounting, Federal University of Lafayette, and Mr. Sheun Ibikun Oni, a public affairs analyst, as they share their perspectives on the issue for today, which is high cost of food and its toll on the residents of the country. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good
morning, listeners.
So let's begin this way. Apart from the issue of fuel subsidy removal and dollarization, let's share in your viewpoint why the dwindling cost of living across the country. Let's start from Dr. Mohammed.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having me. We are in a very, very dicey situation in the country as of today. Nigeria is facing a very serious problem. The hunger in the land is unprecedented. It has never been this bad. Unfortunately, the situation is not looking as if it's going to end anytime soon. Day in, day out, the situation is getting from bad to worse. Apart from the dollarization of the economy, there is high level of poverty and unemployment in the land. In fact, the Nigerian economy, as of today, can be said to be in a stagflated mode. A situation where you have high inflation rate, high unemployment rate, and a very low growth rate. Already we are witnessing stagflation in our economy. And that is as a result of certain hasty policy decision, I believe, was taken by this present administration. But sincerely, there is problem in the land, and the government need to do what it need to do, and had to do it as fast as possible to address this. Thank you very much.
Okay, so there was something that you raised that I would also want us to look at, because the key point from what you said now is hasty decision by government. But let's share the viewpoint of Mr. Ibikunle. Let's have from you.
Again, thank you.
Thank
you for having me. The subject of discourse this morning is one that any Nigerian, as I speak to you today, is seriously agitated about, because where there is hunger, definitely you should expect anger. And the hunger in the land is so palpable, is not one that you can be pretentious about. Even the rich are not smiling. I don't really think we have a middle class, because those in that class have now been pauperized due to the high and very increasing prices of goods and services on a daily basis. And two things I will quickly speak to. Doc has spoken to a few issues. In any economy at all, whether a perfect economy, a mixed economy, or a planned economy, you always have these two sides of balancing an economy. The first side is about efficiency of the market, while the second one is about economic growth. Economic growth in the sense that you are now talking about inflation rate and all of those are numbers. There is a more germane one, which is the efficiency of the market. There was a period an administration was bragging about more people having private jets in the country. From that period, we now have a hangover of this thought that if people can blow their siren, receive their high salary pegs, the average Nigerian's life really counts very little. But the efficiency in any economy is the fact that the welfare of the majority of the citizens are actually properly taken care of, as you are also running to reduce your inflationary rate, stabilize all of those things. Like Doc also rightly said, we found ourselves in this quagmire because some policies were not properly thought out. I'll be speaking to Bretton Woods advices much later on, because it's a primary reason why we found ourselves here. Unfortunately, the economics in the Bretton Woods institutions, the World Bank, the IMF, the economics they taught them is the textbook economics. The reality in Nigeria will definitely and certainly defy all textbook recommendations.
Okay, so but I get the comment. There has been conversations as well too that actually, if you're bringing policies and programs, you must adapt it to your local environment. But here, what some conversations in some quarters are saying that some disgruntled Nigerians were taking advantage of the situation, adding that there is still food in this country. And here, what government spokesperson said: there is still food in this country. Some people are taking advantage, especially because of the high cost and the depreciation, the value of the currency that has led to the cost of these food items also going up. How do you respond to this?
I think the spokesperson of the government is just trying to protect his job. He's just trying to be protective of the government. The reality is there for even the blind to see. It is not about some disgruntled element trying to discredit the government. It's about the government's decision. What led us to where we are today? It is government policy that gives room for opportunities. It is government policy that gives people the room to take advantage of situation. Who created the situation we find ourselves today? It is the government. Like I said earlier, you came in 2023, May 2023. A serious administration is expected to study the current economic situation before taking any decision. We all agree that subsidy is the greatest scam that we have witnessed in our country since the Fourth Republic. And that is because a lot of corruption has taken place. We agree that subsidy as a regime should go. We all agree that definitely some few Nigerians have taken the entire country for a ride by stealing majority of our public national wealth in the name of subsidy. But unfortunately, when the government came in, what we expected them to do was to study the situation. Like my brother here said, you don't bring the Bretton Woods policy and implement it hook, line, and sinker. You must consider our peculiarity. Our economy is a vulnerable one. And what makes it a vulnerable economy? It is an import-dependent economy. A vulnerable economy like ours is very is exposed to certain external force. Certain things that happen in the international community directly affect us because of the vulnerability of our economy. What I expected the administration to have done was to take time to study and understand the subsidy regime properly before taking that hasty decision on its inauguration day. That decision has taken us to where we are today, and it will be very, very difficult to get it right. The truth is that economic sins are not forgiving. Once you take economic decisions, the people will live by it, and that is what we are facing. Even if there is a reversal today, it is going to be very difficult to get us to where we should be. But be that as it may, I believe the government, if they are sincere, had to go back and look at the policy decision they have taken and find a way around it.
Okay, let's listen to this conversation that also happened after the meeting on the 7th of February. That was last Wednesday. It was convened by the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, and the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, because of some national security implications, and most importantly, to address the issue of food shortage or lack of enough food on the table of Nigerians. I'm glad also that the CBN governor was on that committee, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Wale Edu. And for them, they're saying that Nigerians should be assured of the federal government's determination to do something, because food items will be released from the National Food Reserves as part of measures to crash food prices after the demonstrations that happened in Minna. You want to share with us your perspective, Mr. Bikwani?
Thank you again for that question. I think there is this thinking by those who are in the corridors of power that the situation or the crisis, the food crisis we find ourselves, is one they can just sit down in the comfort of their offices and just tweak things without taking a holistic approach to the issue on ground.
Do you believe government don't understand what's going on?
Absolutely. The policy directions really do not tell us that they know exactly what is going on in the country. Now, there are four major things that are very core to any economy. Very important. It's about the product, the factor, money, and what we call capital market. product,
Factor?
factors of production, and I mentioned also money, the money supply in the economy, and the capital market. Now, when you have these four things functioning efficiently, like the US, the big things we want to copy, in other words, how many products will be manufactured? They have data for these things on a yearly basis. They know exactly the volume or the quantum of rice consumed per annum. They know the amount of, they have data for these things. The money supply, they know how much money is in their economy.
You doubt if Nigeria knows that?
That's where our problem actually begins from. We don't.
Why talk about the amount of money that Nigeria spends on importing rice that the CBN governor had to attend to if they didn't have that statistics?
Now, let me give you an idea of how these things work. Now, someone sits in his office and just assume that we need to be a net importer. That was the term that Mr. President used yesterday, that Nigeria will soon become a net, exporter of food. And it's so laughable because, number one, you don't even know the population of the people in the country. The last population census we did as a nation was far back 2006, I'm sorry. And even that figure, I think, was hotly contested. So the one we are still banking on, oftentimes, are the ones rolled up by, over the years. So how do you plan and know exactly what people need with a figure you really don't have? That's number one problem we have. And when they were talking about removal of fuel subsidy, again, not having accurate data for planning was one of the reasons why someone just thought using a speech, inaugural speech, you can just say subsidy is gone, without taking a holistic look at how the genesis of a problem that escalated this way was May 29 speech. Because they actually possibly don't have an idea of how far that fuel subsidy dovetailed into every other facet of our economy.
So supposing the president didn't make that speech on that day, are we not pushing the evil days?
Yeah, let me come in here. I don't think we are pushing the evil day. You don't take decision without holistically looking at the situation on ground. Yes, agreed that whether we like it or not, subsidy will have gone. Whether it is taken on May 29 or a later date, subsidy will have gone. Let me give you a simple analogy. Let's assume that an individual has appendicitis and there is need for an operation to take place. Very well, leaving the appendicitis in that individual will cause damage. Definitely the medical team would carry out an operation on that appendicitis. But in doing that, there is what you call anesthesia that will be given to the patient so that in the process of that operation, the patient don't feel the pain. But in our own case, our belly were openly cut without anesthesia. The government have promised certain palliative measures. Where are those palliative measures? There are these compressed natural gas, CNG vehicles that they promise, the CNG stations, up till now, 7 months after, what has happened to those things? You have not put in enough palliative measure in place and you rush to remove subsidy. Now, after removing subsidy, what happened? There's been an increase in our so-called federal FEC, monthly FEC. Where has those money gone to? Even the core civil servant that have been promised 35,000 naira every month as a result, as a yardstick to cushion the effect. How many months have been paid? After 2 months, till this time, the government have not paid. So there are a lot of issues. The government need to sit down and retrace the step. Sitting down to retrace your step or reversing certain policy does not mean you have failed. It means that you are listening to the Nigerian people and you are in touch with the reality. The fact, he was saying something about Nigeria being net importer of certain farm produce. We have a serious challenge. We have not even been self-sufficient enough in terms of producing what we will consume. Let me give you an example of cassava and yam. As of today, we are the largest producer of yam produce in the world. Statistics shows that about 40 million metric tons of yam is produced in Nigeria, but our yearly consumption is about 60 million. That means even here we have about 20 million deficit or gap to fill in terms of yam production. Then look at our agricultural value chain. There are a lot of things that need to be done in that sector that have not been done. We need to take advantage of these things. It is not enough to just sit down and make policy statement. You must understand our peculiarity as a people and take policy decision that will fit us. The subsidy at a time was the only thing we were enjoying from the government, because as an individual, you discover that you are just like a local government on your own. You provide electricity for yourself, you pay for community security, you provide borehole for yourself, almost everything. You ask yourself, what is the government actually giving to you? Nothing. They said subsidy was a scam. Now, there are certain people that might have committed those, apart from Honorable Ahmed Lawal that I knew, that recently was convicted, and it was as a result of the subsidy regime when he was investigating an attempt to collect bribe from Otedela. Those who have actually perpetrated the greatest scam in this from the Fourth Republic to date since 1999, where are they? Where are the subsidies? Why will Nigeria pay for the inefficiency of government? That is the pain. We shouldn't pay for the certain people should be held responsible, because the truth is that they are not feeling the impact in any way. It is the Nigerian people that are feeling the brunt. Inflation as at today is about 28.9%, and one of the components that have taken the highest in that is food inflation. Food inflation accounts for about 33%. How do you survive that? Every day you go to the market, the price of food and services keep going high every day. The middle class, there is nothing like a middle class, because the truth is that it's either you are up there or you are down here. So we can't continue like this. The government needs to think outside the box, look for a low-hanging fruit and see how they can address this problem. If not, it is going to be a serious problem as far as this country is concerned. People are protesting because of hunger. What happened during the EndSARS protests is going to be a child's play compared to what will happen if this situation persists.